before for one of my workouts. My name is Isaac, and I'm a grad student in the kinesiology and integrative physiology department at Michigan Tech. And so really quickly here, the goal of Up and Moving is to provide you with a way to work out from home, give you virtual workouts led by professionals that can kind of take you through workouts safely, give you a range of exercises that kind of fit your abilities, and ultimately keep everybody up and moving. During COVID now, it's a little bit harder to find ways to stay physically active with things kind of closed down, and with it being a lot safer to stay at home. So with that said, tonight's workout, we're going to focus on a full body resistance training workout. So very similar to workouts that I've done in the past, if you've done one with me. So we're going to start with a light warm up for about 5 minutes or so. And then we're going to get into 2 different circuits where we're going to superset or do 2 exercises back to back. We'll do a lower body exercise and an upper body exercise. And we'll flip-flop between those 2 until we get 3 working sets in. Tonight for our rep goal, I'm just going to it's up to you guys to pick exercise variations. I'll show you a number of variations for each exercise we do. It's up to you to pick which variation kind of fits the right amount of difficulty for you. But ultimately what we want to shoot for is for each set of exercise that we do, I want you to be somewhere between 10 and 20 reps. So that's going to be kind of our magic zone. So pick a variation where you can at least do 10 reps. But if you can do 20 and it's really easy, then you can probably find a way to make it a little bit more difficult and bring those reps down. So we want the end of the set to be challenging. Those reps should start to get hard. All right. With that said, let's jump into a little dynamic warm-up here and we'll get things moving. Okay. So we're going to pick a few different movements and we're going to run through each movement for about 20-30 seconds or so. So let's just start off with some jogging in place. So I'm getting those arms pumping, my legs are moving. And I guess while we're going through this warm-up, I forgot to mention equipment that you might need for tonight. So we'll just keep jogging in place and I'll explain what I've got. I have a backpack. If you are fairly advanced with body weight exercises like squats, you may need a backpack to add a little bit of extra weight. You could also use that backpack for some rows that we're going to be doing later. I also have a little toolbox that I'll use for rows. And then I always have a nice sturdy chair, so something that you can lean on and kind of use for some stability. And that's really all we should need tonight. So if you need to run and gather those things right now, you can do that. But make sure you jog in place as you're grabbing it. We'll keep warming up. All right, let's shift into some high knees. So we're really going to drive that knee up to the chest now. I'm going to angle my camera up a little bit here. So really trying to get that knee as high as we can out in front. And the goal here of our warm-up is we're trying to get all the joints moving, all of our major joints that we're going to use later in our resistance exercises. We're going to get those warmed up, the muscles warmed up. The goal at the end is your heart rate will be fairly elevated. You're breathing a little bit harder. I will be sure to give us a water break at the end of the warm-up. So if you're starting to get out of breath and sweating, it's okay, a break will be coming. Let's go into some butt kicks. So you're going to take that heel and try to kick yourself in the butt with it. So we'll get those hamstrings in the back of the leg firing and a little stretch on the quads in the front of the leg. Looking good. And again, if you've got any questions and you're on the live video here, please feel free to send those questions in the chat. I'll try to keep my eye on it and address anything that I see come in. All right, let's go with some body weight squats. So you can get your feet at a width that feels most comfortable, and you can point your toes in or out as much as you need to, wherever is most comfortable. And we're just going to go into some body weight squats. Again, this is just a warm up, so try not to, if these are too hard for you, maybe just go for a quarter squat. We want that intensity and that difficulty to be fairly low right now. So kind of just pick a nice easy squat variation for yourself right now. I can go into a good full squat. It's not too tough for me, so I'm going to really warm up those quads and my knees. You can use those arms as a counterweight, stick them out in front of you. Perfect, good job. All right, let's get some arm circles in. Start moving those shoulders. So I'm going to kind of sidestep here. Keep myself moving. I'll start forward. And as those shoulders kind of loosen up, I'll make my circles a little bit bigger. And a little bit bigger, going to nice big circles now. And I'm going to reverse directions. So going the other way, I'm going to start small again. Work my way up into a little bit bigger circle. Then get some nice big circles in. Good, shoulders are burning a little bit. Let's cross them up in front. Take those arms and swing them across your body. Good, and if you don't have a water ready, once we go to our break here after the warm up, be sure to grab a water bottle and fill it up so that you have it with you throughout the workout. All right, let's go with, we're gonna do some like side lunges here. So feet a little bit further apart, and I'm gonna lunge to the side, keeping that other leg straight. I'll feel a little bit of a stretch here in my groin. And I'm just gonna lean into that leg and just kind of go from side to side here. So I'm kind of leaning forward slightly. Trying to get that groin nice and warmed up. Perfect. We're getting to almost 6 o'clock and it's still light outside. This is promising. The days are getting longer. Good. All right, we're going to go into Frankenstein kicks. So hands out in front of you like you're Frankenstein. You're going to try to kick those toes up to your fingertips. Trying to keep your knee fairly straight. Maybe feels a little bit tight back there in that hamstring when you're kicking that foot up. That's okay. That's what we want. Getting a light stretch in. Good. My heart rate's starting to get up a little bit higher here. All right, nice work. All right, we're gonna go for a side hop here. So I'm gonna be basically like I'm a speed skater. I'm jumping from one foot over to the other, trying to cover a little bit of distance laterally and get those glutes warmed up. And if you can with this, maybe bend forward a little bit so you can see Got my torso leaning forward. Really start to get those hips working. Good, we're almost through our warm up there. Hang in there. Good, we're gonna go into jumping jacks. So either keeping one foot on the floor and kicking the other foot out, or you can just do a regular jumping jack. Good, we'll try to push our heart rate up and work a little harder right here at the end of the warm up. Good job. Let's increase the pace a little bit if you can hang with me. Try to stick with me, just push a little bit harder. Good, nice job. And we're down to our last 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Warm up is done. Go ahead, grab yourself a drink, take a little break. Take some time here to catch your breath. And I am going to show us our first pair of exercises. All right. Grab one more quick drink here. If I start explaining things while I'm too out of breath, it just gets me more out of breath. All right. So the first exercise, we're going to do a split squat variation. So essentially all it is, you're going to kick a leg back so that I kind of have this split stance, and then you're going to go right into a squat. So it's almost like you're doing a lunge in place. All right. So it's going to look just like this. So I've got my knee kind of, I'm pushing it out over my toe, kind of in line with my toes. And then I'm going to try, if I can get all the way down to where my back knee touches the floor, that's great. If I need to make it a partial, that's okay. So that's one way that you can make it easier or harder. A partial will be a little bit harder. If you get all the way down, it's going to be a little bit tougher. All right. Another thing you can do, if you feel like you need a little bit of stability, is just use your chair for some support. So you're going to do the same exact thing, but you've got that chair on your side to kind of help your balance out a little bit. And see, I'm getting to the bottom and I'm driving up. All right. So this is the easiest version with the chair. Next hardest is no chair. We're just going with balance. If you need to make this a lot harder, if you've got strong legs and you're feeling confident in your balance, you can take a backpack, throw the backpack on with some weight in it, and then to add another wrinkle, you can suspend that back leg. So I can put that back leg up on a chair or on the couch. And then I have more range of motion that I can cover. So I can get really deep with that foot elevated. And I'm basically thinking about pushing with that front leg, right? So find a variation that you feel comfortable with, and we'll start there. And we're going to go for 10 to 20 reps. So I'm going to start off by, again, showing the easiest variation. So I'm going to do 10 to 20 on this leg. I'm going to flip around and hit the other leg. So let's go ahead and get started. Go into your first variation. Let's go for 10 to 20. If you can make it all the way to 20, fantastic. Try to give you guys a little side profile view here. So this exercise is really going to work that quad in the front of your leg. Maybe feel it a little bit in your glute. I want you to think about pushing off that front foot. Front foot is where most of our weight is at. That back leg is kind of just there for a little bit of support. So we are working that front leg. Good, so we're going for 10 to 20. Again, we want to end the set once it starts to get pretty challenging. When the muscle starts burning, when our reps are slowing down, maybe our form's getting a little janky. Perfect. Got 20 in on that side. I'm going to flip sides. Go right over to that other leg. So again, I'm into this split stance. Got my chair for some support. And I'm focusing most of my weight on that front leg. In fact, I like to just keep my back foot, I'm really just on my toe. Good, perfect. And again, if you're doing these with the chair, but you still need it a little easier, just shorten your range of motion up and just go into kind of like a quarter squat. Good. Whew. All right, that's our first set of our first exercise. So if you made it to 20 reps really easy with whatever variation you did, try a harder one. And I'll show you the next harder variation next time we come back to it. So our second exercise is going to be a row. So I'm going to use my toolbox. You guys can use a backpack if you have one. You can use a bag, a shopping bag filled with cans of soup, grocery, water. I have a couch here. This is going to be kind of the easiest variation, is put your knee on the couch, then your hand on the couch. And then from here, I'm going to row my loading device like so. So I'm trying to keep my chest facing the floor, my hips kind of facing the floor, and I can just kick this leg out to the side for support. It's going to look just like this. All right, and then we'll have to flip and we'll have to hit the other arm. So I'll put my other knee on the couch and row like this. So as I'm doing that rowing, I'm thinking about driving my elbow to the ceiling and pushing my chest out. So elbow to the ceiling and chest out. But I keep the chest facing the floor, so I'm square to the floor. That's the first variation, probably the easiest one. Next easiest, or next hardest, is going to be using a little bit of support. So I have my chair in front of me and I'm doing the same exact thing. Show you what this side looks like. So I kind of just stagger my feet just like I'm in a split squat almost. But I have my chair for support in front of me. And I'm trying to get my torso at, I don't know, 40 degrees or so, 45 degrees, maybe even a little less if you can get it there. It's looking just like this. And then the last variation, if you want to make it just a little bit more challenging, is just a freestanding. So here I don't have any support. I'm just leaning forward on that front leg and driving that elbow up and pushing my chest out. All right, so we're going to go for 10 to 20 reps on this exercise for both arms. So go ahead and pick a variation you like. I'm going to start with this one on the couch. This is probably the easiest on the back. And we're going to go for 10 to 20. So I want to let that weight all the way down to the floor and then pull it up. Good. Drive that elbow to the ceiling, push the chest out. Elbow to the ceiling, chest out. You want those shoulder blades to be coming in and pinching together in the back. I'm going to go ahead and flip sides, do my other side. So knee on the couch, hand on the couch. Good, and last one for me, perfect. All right. So we got a set of rows in. So go ahead, let's grab a drink, take a quick break. I'm starting to sweat. All right. Usually I wear sweatshirts or long sleeve shirts for these workouts, and I have now learned my lesson to put a t-shirt on because I sweat profusely. All right, so we're gonna go back to split squats. So if you made it to 20 and on that 20th rep last time you were like, this isn't very hard, try to pick a challenging variation. So if you were using the chair, maybe you try to go a little bit deeper, or maybe you try without the chair. All right, so let's go ahead and give it another try. I'm gonna start with my left leg. I'm going for 10 to 20. Again, think about that front foot. We're driving through the front foot. That's where most of that weight is. We really want to work this quad. If you feel like you're having some knee problems, if there's a little bit of pain in that knee as you're lowering down, try leaning your torso forward a little bit more. So see how I went from here with my torso very upright, very vertical. If I lean forward a little bit, I put a little bit more of that stress on my hip and less of it on the knee. And so I'll use my butt a little bit more for the exercise, but I'll take some of the stress off the knee if the knee is hurting me. I like to stay nice and upright personally, though, and like to really burn the quad out. Whew. Okay. That leg's done. I'm going to go ahead and flip sides. Here we go. Same thing here. Going for 10 to 20. Job. Make sure that knee is coming over the toe. It's moving in the direction of your toes. Whew. Yep, that burns. I'm feeling it in my quads, a little bit kind of in the sides of my butt. All right, we're gonna go back to rows. So same premise here. If you made it to 20 easy last time, throw some extra weight inside your bag. Or grab a heavier dumbbell if you got dumbbells. We're gonna do the same thing. Going for 10 to 20, we want the set to be challenging. I'm gonna switch my variation up and do a freestanding row. Okay, here we go. Again, I'm keeping nice, slow, and control. I'm driving my elbow to the ceiling and then pushing my chest out like I'm Superman, showing off the S on my chest. So I'm pinching those shoulder blades together at the top. Perfect. Nice work. Once you finish that setup, we'll go ahead and flip sides. Same thing over here. Sometimes if you feel like you need to, you can even rest that hand on that knee. Takes a little bit of stress off of your back and your legs to hold your posture right. Good. Nice work. 2 sets down. Grab a drink. We're going to take a breather. And we're going to come back for one more set of each one of these. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely feeling it in my legs. A little bit in my back. With those rows, you may feel it in your biceps. So your biceps are doing some pulling. And then the muscles kind of in the middle of your back. You may feel it there as well. So we're really trying to pull that shoulder blade back as we're doing that row and drive that elbow up. So we're going to use a lot of those muscles in the middle of your back. Those ones that normally during the day you're sitting at the keyboard or sitting down and they're kind of stretched out. We're going to really try to activate those ones now. All right, so we're going to go into our last set of split squats. So this is our last set. which means we don't need to do any more split squats after this one. So we can push it a little bit harder as long as your reps are still safe, meaning your form is good and there's no pain. So let's push this one. I am going to try to do the hardest variation. I'm going to throw my backpack on, which has a bunch of books in it. And then I'm going to suspend my foot. I'll do it on the chair so you guys can see what it looks like. I'm going to put my foot up. And let's go ahead and we'll go for another set of 10 to 20. Let's try to push this one here. All right, here we go. You can see with that foot suspended, I need a little bit more balance and I can get a lot deeper. So my range of motion is a little bit more. So if you need to make these harder, this is definitely the way to go. And the added weight is an extra perk on there as well. My quads are going to be feeling really good after this one. I'm still nice and slow and under control. I usually try to go with like a 3 count. If you can think 1, 2, 3 to the bottom, 1, 2, 3 to the top. Nice and slow and controlled. Whew, that burns. Okay, I'm flipping legs. So I'm gonna put my other foot up. This is my bad balance leg. And again, that back leg is kind of just there for a little bit of support. We're mostly pushing with that front leg. So think about driving the floor away with that front foot. Drive the floor away. And drive the floor away. Ooh. Yep, those burn. Okay. And we are done with split squats. We can mark those off of our list. We're gonna go back to rows. I'm gonna grab a quick drink. When you're pushing that last set, it gets you. Okay. So going to our last set of rows. So if the first few have been pretty easy, and you've been making 20 reps, no problem, I encourage you to add a little bit of weight. In order to really get stronger, we've got to add a little more weight over time. So if you've been hanging out with me and doing workouts with me for a while, probably been doing a lot of these movements. And so now you can start to push them a little bit harder now that your form is there and you feel a little bit more comfortable. So last set of rows, here we go. Driving that elbow to the ceiling and then pushing my chest out. So I'm using my chair for some support on this last set because I feel like my legs are jello. Ooh. All right. Burning. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm gonna go flip to the other side. The last set of rows. Nice. Done. We can cross rows and split squats off the list. We finished them. Get some water. Catch your breath, wipe your sweat. All right. So we have one more pair of exercises that we're going to go through. Again, we're just going to keep flipping back and forth between these two until we get 3 sets done. Same goal. We want to try to land between 10 and 20 reps. And at the end of the set, it should be getting challenging. So first exercise, You guys have probably done these with me before. I'm going to show them on the chair because this is probably the best angle for you to see them on. But when I do them, I'm probably going to do them on my couch. So we're going to do a hip thrust. It's a pretty simple exercise, but really focus on the technique here. So we did a lot of knee dominance. We made our knee and our quads do a lot of the work with those split squats. Now we're going to really try to use hamstrings and glutes. So we'll hit the kind of the back of the leg, the muscles on the back of the leg. So now going to these hip thrusts. So what I'm going to do is position myself so that right below my shoulder blades is on the chair. All right. I'll have my feet out in front of me. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to hinge at my hip. So you can see that my spine stays in a straight line. So from my shoulder to my hip is a straight line. And I'm just going to extend my hips up into this bridge so I have a straight line. And I'm going to squeeze my butt. So I'm really using my glutes here. And then I'm lowering back down and driving back up. So my knees should be at about 90 degrees when I get to the top. So if they're back here, my feet are too close. If they're out here, my feet are too far away. They should be right here. And I'm just trying to thrust those hips up to the ceiling and get into this straight line while I squeeze my glutes. So really working those muscles in the back of the legs. So one thing you don't want it to look like is this. So this is me moving from my spine. If I want to move from my hip and actually hinge here, I need to make sure that my sternum is pointing this way. It's going to move with me. You'll see how my chest moves with me. If I'm doing this, my chest isn't moving with me, right? So the way your head is pointing should change. So that's a good cue to make sure you're using your hips. So that's our first exercise. Now the easiest version is to do it the way I just showed you. So start on a chair, lower down, hip thrust. If you need to make it a little harder, we're going to go single leg, right? So I'm just picking one leg up and I'm doing that movement on the other leg. Just like that. So give those two a try. Find which one works for you. Again, we're going to shoot for 10 to 20. I guess let's go into our first set here. So I'm going to start off using both legs. So again, start on the chair. I lower down just below my shoulder blade is on the chair. Coming up. My knees are at 90 degrees at the top. I like to also focus on pushing through my heels. So you may even see that I like to lift my toes off the floor. Helps me use my glutes a little bit more. So squeeze that butt at the top. Come into a good full extension. And my sternum is moving with me. My sternum and my pelvis are one unit. You can see that they are moving together, not separately. Which means I'm hinging at that hip and I'm using my glutes. Just one thing you want to be careful of, that whatever you're resting on, chair, couch, it doesn't slide away on you. Good. Whew. When you get done, you can just kind of lower onto the floor. That's probably the best way to finish it off. All right. So we have hip thrusts, and then the other exercise we're going to do is a push-up variation. So I'll show you 3 ways to do it. Version number 1 is on the chair, right? So I'm on an elevated surface. This could be a chair, it could be a couch, but something that's inclined a little bit higher. It could even be a bar top too. So if you have like a countertop bar or table, that can work. The higher the item that you're leaning on, if you're leaning way up here, it's going to be a little bit easier. The lower you come towards the floor, the harder. So I want to keep my body in a nice straight line again. So from my shoulder down to my ankle, abs nice and tight. So my hips aren't sinking to the floor. I bring my chest to the chair or the bar, whatever you're using, and then drive back to the top. I encourage you to try for a full range of motion if you can get your chest all the way down. If not, that's okay. But I encourage you to find a variation where you can do a full range of motion. So that's the easiest. Again, the higher the item you lean on, the easier it's going to be. The lower it is, the harder. Next version is a regular push-up. So right on the floor. So you can put your hands at whatever width is most comfortable for you. I'm just about outside shoulder width. Bringing that chest to the floor and driving up. Again, maintaining a good straight line with my body. If you want to make it a little harder, this is for the push-up experts if you happen to be watching. Books or yoga blocks. So I can put these down, and then I can put my hands on the books or the yoga blocks, and then I can get a little bit lower. So see how this increases my range of motion. I can get my chest actually down below the yoga blocks, get a little hold, and then drive up. So that way is a way you can make it harder. And then if you're an expert push-up champion, you can even throw a weight on your back and then do the same thing. So this is very advanced. Getting a good stretch all the way below the yoga blocks and pressing up with weight. So those are our 3 variations. Find one that works. Let's go into our first working set. I'm going to stick with actually for the first one, I'll show you the easiest variation on the chair. So an incline push-up. Okay, here we go. We're going for 10 to 20. So get that chest down to your chair or the floor and then drive it away. Drive it away. Whew. Nice work. All right. Let's get a quick drink. I know I did a lot of talking there explaining those. We're going to move a little faster on the next 2 sets. Let's go into our hip thrust. Another thing you can do to make these harder, if you need it, is to put some weight on your hips. So I'm going to take my tool bag, and I'm actually going to put my tool bag on my hips. This will give me just a little bit of extra resistance. Okay, here we go. So drive through those heels and extend those hips. I find that it helps to tuck my chin to my chest like this. It just helps you maintain spinal posture and gets you to move at your hip as opposed to through your back. You won't hurt yourself because it's not under a lot of load, but if you do want to feel it in your glutes and use your glutes and your hamstrings, making sure that you're moving at your hip and not in the back is important. Ooh, I feel this one in my glutes. All right, woo. All right, another set of those done. Let's go to a push-up variation. I'm gonna pick a little bit harder one this time. I'm gonna tip my camera down just a little bit so you guys can see everything that's going on. All right, so I'm gonna use my blocks and get a little bit more range of motion. Go ahead and find a variation where you can do 10 to 20 and it's challenging. Here we go. Abs tight, got straight line from my shoulder to my ankle. And here we go. Drive that floor away. Keep those abs tight. Don't let your hips sag to the floor. Good, nice job. Woo. 1 set left. Let's go ahead and get another drink real quick. Okay, so this is our last set again. Let's push this one maybe a little bit harder than our first couple because we don't have anything to save it for. I'm going to do the single leg hip thrust variation, the hardest one. So if you feel like the first couple sets you've made it to like 20 and it's not super challenging yet, go ahead and try the single leg with me. All right, let's go. Last set. So I lower down. Just below my shoulder blades is on the chair. I'm gonna kick one leg up, and I'm just hip thrusting with that single leg. Try to keep your abs tight. Bring that sternum with you. Drive through that heel. Whew, that one's a little bit harder. All right, I'm flipping to the other leg. Almost there. Woo. All right, done with hip thrusts. Got one more set of push-ups. Feel like you need a quick break before this last one, go ahead and take it. I'm going to jump into this last one. I'm going to use my blocks again. Okay. Here we go. Last set. Straight line from your shoulder to your ankle. Keep those abs tight. Woo! All right. We did it. That's all the hard work out of the way. Let's go ahead and grab a celebratory drink. Oh man, that water tastes good. Give yourself a pat on the back. Nice job. So we got 4 exercises in. More or less worked the whole body there. I've got a good sweat going. My heart rate's still up. So let's go into a little cool down. Hit a couple stretches here. We'll let our heart rate come down and catch our breath. So I'm just going to have a seat on the floor. Sitting on the floor after a hard workout is the best. Nobody wants to stand and do stretches. So I'm just going to get on the floor. If you want to stand, you can stand. I'm going to take my left hand, go down to my right foot. Take some big deep breaths. Kind of stretch that hamstring just until it's a little uncomfortable, but we don't want to stretch to where it's like super painful. Whew. And just try to let some tension out every time you let a breath out. Good, let's go ahead and flip to the other side here. Yeah. Feels good to be done. Perfect. All right, we'll do one more move. So I'm going to take my right leg. I'm going to cross it over my left leg. I'm going to take my left arm and come through and try to look across the room, and I can kind of push my leg across. This will stretch the glute out. It'll stretch your back a little bit. This one always feels good. Ooh, finally my heart rate is coming down. All right, let's go to the other side. So I'm going to take my left leg over my right, and then my right arm through. turn and look at the wall. And again, try to drive that leg across your body and you'll stretch that glute a little bit. All right. That's it. We did it. Thank you, everybody for joining. It was a pleasure having you. And we hope to see you again next Monday. And I know tomorrow at 6, there's a high intensity interval training workout with Jamie. So go ahead and join that if you're looking for another workout tomorrow evening. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the workout and have a great rest of your day.